Okay, I wanted to do a dedicated video on putting these joists up because there's a system that I'm using and it might help somebody out. And it just needs a more detailed explanation, basically. So this is a joist, 2 by 10 by 8 foot, pressure treated, obviously. It's brand new, so it weighs about 40 pounds. It's a second floor deck we're working on, so we're working just on ladders. And I'm going to tell you the key to doing this, I wouldn't say quickly, you're never going to do this quickly with one person, because this is about DIY, doing projects on your own. If you haven't been watching my videos, they're linked in the description. But the key to doing these things efficiently, that's the real word, is not having to come down the ladder unless you're moving on to the next step. So that means don't forget anything. Take every single thing you need. In this particular case, I need a Simpson bracket, which goes like this. Right, and I have these screws in here, so I can't actually push it right up against where it would be. And you got this nail. This is a 3-inch nail. You need a 3-inch nail. Toenails in like this, and it also goes through this way. This is going to make it past the sheathing, probably, definitely, actually. 1.5 inches, 3/4. Yeah, you'll be into the rim joist with this nail, which is really good. This model number in this Simpson is ESR 2523. These are required, again, the 3-inch 10D5 HDG. HDG is hot dip galvanized. You know, these things aren't cheap, so if you drop one, look where you drop it and pick it up on the way down. I use an impact, carry that with me up the ladder, and then 3-inch deck screws, coated, obviously. These are really good. I'll link to all this stuff in the description. And obviously I'm going to bring up a tape measure. There's probably some Milwaukee tool to put a nail into these clips. I don't know of it, but hammer is pretty much the only way I know about doing it. And it can be a little annoying when you're up there. A couple things about a hammer. If you never bought a hammer before, you're young, you're doing this project, first project. This is a wooden handle hammer. I use a wooden handle instead of a metal handle because the impact doesn't transfer through wood like it would metal. End of the day, after you've been using a metal hammer for a long time, your hand is so wood is a little bit nicer. It's also not hot too. That's nice. This is only a 19 ounce. This is not a very expensive hammer. You can look up hammers. They're $200 sometimes, $250. It's crazy. This is, I don't even know, $25 maybe. There's 2 ways to hammer in a nail faster. A heavier hammer or a longer hammer, meaning leverage. This one is a longer hammer. This one is from the center. It's about 15 inches. You hold it here. On the end, you have more leverage and you're not going to have to swing as hard. The problem is it's harder to hit a nail when you're holding it like this, just like swinging a bat. You choke up on it, you're going to be able to hit it easier. You got no power this way. Sometimes it's good to start and you pop it up, and then you can strike it where it's actually going to go into the wood fairly quickly. Got to get used to something like this. This one also has an interesting little thing, and this is good, not good for these clips, but just in general framing. It has a little magnet and a starter. So if you're reaching up and you can't hold it, then you just do that. It starts it. Let's see. I don't even know if you can see back here, but see that? That starts it. That's nice. We're going to take this out because this is about 10 cents. So hammer is good. Pick one that you like. Pick one that you're comfortable swinging. I recommend the wooden handle. Yeah, they're not going to last as long. Those metal ones will last you 3 lifetimes, but your arm will last you your own lifetime if you use that wooden handle. Again, you need all this stuff. Next thing is that I don't use one of those framing tool belts. I have one of those big crazy ones. They cost like, I don't even know, $100, $150 or whatever. If I was framing a house, that's what I would use. But on a deck, you're going up a ladder, all it is going to catch on things. So I don't even have a belt on with a belt loop for the hammer. I use just a belt loop on my pants. It's a jeans belt loop or whatever. It's a cotton belt loop, so it's flexible. It's not going to get caught on anything. Some people don't like to use that loop because the hammer hangs down low and it smacks them in the leg when they're walking. Well, if I'm walking back to the shop, I'll just take it out if I don't want to feel it. But it definitely helps when you're going up a ladder to not have something sticking out. Even this drill, I just use this little hook. I hook it right into a pocket. It doesn't pop off unless you really hit it. It actually stays on there. These things are pretty cool. Obviously, I'm hooking this onto my pants and I'm putting all the screws and everything into my pockets. Now, the pockets that you pick is important. If you are right-handed, if you swing a hammer with your right hand, use a drill with your right hand, do not put anything of any use in your right pockets. If you have nails, I have them in this top left. You can actually grab with your right hand or your left hand. This is a prime location right here. You can grab it with your right or your left. You can grab it with your left, and you can have your hammer. Now, there's one thing I don't like about these loops. I have no idea why they put them on the left. Doesn't make any sense to me. But the loop is on the left. If you get one of those belt ones, you can put it on the right. It's definitely easier. You grab your nail, you can hammer in. You grab another nail, you can hammer in. If you put these nails in your back right pocket, forget it. Just forget it. You're going to be reaching around like this. You're going to be doing all kind of contortion stuff to get to the nails. Don't do that. Next prime spot, back left if you're right-handed. So I keep other stuff back there that I need. The best spot though is this, if it's really heavy stuff, because then they won't pop out. If they're like light things and they're standing straight up, like a pencil or something like that, they can fall out of this pocket. But heavy nails, they're not going to fall out. Pencil is very important too. Pencils. Do not go up a ladder without two pencils. Because if you drop one, you do not want to have to get down. I'm telling you right now. So sometimes I even like to keep them in two different places. So when I'm pulling one out, I don't knock the other out. So I keep one in my pocket down here and then one in here. Also, a good razor blade or a knife or something is something you want to keep on you as well. Now that we got that settled, let me show you how I'm doing this, how I'm staging this. Here's my board, here's my joist. You can see that I have one of these 3-inch deck screws toenailed in. And you can't tell, but it's just sticking out. And I'm talking like a 1/16. Could go out maybe a hair more. That's it right there. Now, why am I that precise about this? Oop, that can happen too, so be careful. Because I want it sticking out so that when I put this joist up, I can just nail it onto the ledger, meaning that, I shouldn't say nail. I can slam it onto the ledger, it's going to catch. And it's going to be easier to work with. I also have one on the bottom too. See that? Now what this is going to do for me is that it's going to allow me to set the board correctly, the joist correctly on the ledger. And it's going to also allow me to pull it in, which can be very difficult sometimes. I can adjust it, I can get it set up, because I can tell you right now, if you ever put one of these things up, it's very frustrating to hold the joist and get this thing up in here and hold it and then keep it and then squeeze it. It's just a real pain. These screws make it possible. Put these screws in, and obviously it just makes it stronger. But obviously, when this thing's all completely done, joist is not going anywhere. But this really helps you adjust things too. It pulls it in, you can pull it down, you can push it up. These screws are very, very important. It really cannot be done without these screws. All right, let me move you over to the ladder area, and then after I show you how I'm bringing it up, I'll move you to the top of the deck where you can see me actually put this thing in. Got you in the zoomed out view. Again, just want to make sure you see everything. A couple things about ladder placement. Picture yourself at the top of the ladder. You're going to be able to work at that top. You're going to be able to put the thing into the right spot. If you can't, if you don't think you'll be able to move the ladder now, you don't want to go up there carrying something, have to come back down. It's not fun. So think about where you're going to be. Make sure your ladder's in the right place. Obviously, make sure it's steady. The next thing is that the angle with these extension ladders, you should be using an extension ladder. It's going to have two different rungs, a rung on one side of the extension and one on the other. Make sure that first rung is clear past the first rung right above it. If it's too much vertical, then you will not be able to use it to hold the board, which is very important. You don't want to have it too flat, obviously, because that makes it dangerous. The side that's going to go on the ledger, you want it on the bottom. Okay, you want that on the bottom. Why? Because as you pick it up, you're going to angle the top back over your beam. So you pick it up like this. See that? It's right on that rung. And you'll still be able to step. I have really big boots, and I can still get my 2 feet in there, no problem. See that? That makes it very helpful. You'll be able to do that with a 10-footer as well. Probably even a 12-footer. 16-footer is, forget. That's very, very hard to work with, as I know. Now, when you get to a height that you think you're comfortable picking this thing up all the way, do that. Shimmy it up. You're going to angle it. Drop it right on that beam. Once you get it up there, I'm lucky I have board and batten right here. But if you don't have board and batten to hook it on, meaning I can just rest it right on the board and batten. If you don't, rung of the ladder. This thing should be high enough to where you can put the board on the top rung. Now, I don't need it this because I have the board and batten, but if the rung was here, you'd be able to hook it on here. You also have the side. It's not as good as the rung, that is for sure. But even that works fine. Kind of in your way. Definitely extend this out further if you don't have a place like I do. Okay, we're at the ledger here, and I got a joist to my left, and I have marks right here, if you can see them. This is 10.5 from the inside to the inside. If you're working on this side, meaning you're standing on this side on the ladder, you want that 10.5 number. Now, can you see me? No, you can't really see me, but you can see this completely. Now that's good. Now we're going to get the joist, and we're going to line it up. And remember, I got the screws sticking out, which should pretty much hold it. Right. So that's good. And all I did, look, if you looked, see that? It's just holding it because the screws are sticking out. Now, here's one thing that's really important. These screws, you got to play with them a little bit, because what happens is that you screw one in, it moves down. You screw another one, it moves up. And you kind of got to go back and forth a little bit until you get it right. Most of the time, if you have this sticking up a hair, maybe an 1/8 inch, when you screw this one in, it'll pull it down. Also, you got your shoulder. This is the only good thing about the second floor. This one, I just screwed it up this one just a hair, just now. There we go. You gotta make sure these screws are countersunk. Because if they're not, the clip won't fit. Now, here's the clip. Let's see here. You gonna be able to see me? Yeah, you'll be able to see this side. Now, first things first is that a square is sometimes a good idea because you want to get this joist close. That's nice. That's perfect. Now we get our clip in. I'll do it on this side first. I hold it up flush here. I hit the tab in. Then I come in here and really make sure that thing is up against it. And here's the problem. When you do it like this, you got to make sure that this clip is right up against this. If there's any gap whatsoever, then in reality, it's not sitting on the clip. So it has to be sitting on the clip, or else it doesn't work structurally. So hold it tight before you nail it in. Make sure this thing is hammered up nice and tight. All right, now nails. You always nail on this side first. Well, I say always. I always nail on this side first. Why? Because, let me look at you. Because if I run out of nails and I did the other side first, well, now I got to do this side from the next position. Now, you do this side first, and then if you run out of nails for some reason, you'll be on this side for the next board and you'll get it over here. Also, accuracy on this side is really, really important. And if you're on your like 11th or 12th nail and you're over here, your arm might get a little tired. If you're not a professional. If you're a professional, these guys, they'll nail all day long, so it's not really a big deal. But if you're just doing this DIY, let me tell you something. You put 12 3-inch nails in like this. I mean, you by that 10th nail, you're going to feel it. So do the hardest ones first, inside and the angle. Next thing is that make sure you pick which rung you want to be on. You want to be able to swing your arm. If you got to go down a rung from really low, you cannot see me. But my arm is now has some good travel. That's what you want. These angle ones, very, very difficult on a 12-inch on center. 16, it's not that bad. But 12-inch, if you look, I have no travel. Very difficult. Those are the hardest ones to put in. It's always nice to have earplugs in. Jesus, 12 inches on center here. I don't screw with this side over here. I don't do this side until it's over. I mean, I don't do this side until it's over. But I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll do one for you. We'll move the ladder over there so that we can, I don't have to wait till the end to show you. But normally what I do is I do this whole side and then I do that side. And I'll give you a couple tips when we're over there. All right, let's go. All right, we are up here on the edge. I seem to be on, it looks like I'm standing on the ground, but I'm not. I'm standing, this is 13 feet up. I'm on a ladder. I'm comfortable, so that's good. I got three things with me. I got a block. I got this hurricane clip, uplift clip, hurricane clip. And I got this one. This one right here is what you'd normally use on a deck that's on the, off your first floor, right? And so you're talking about 1, 2, 3 feet off the ground. This is what I'm using. This is a 13 feet up, 2.5 stories up. And it's a big field behind me. So there's going to be more uplift, so I'm using a stronger hurricane clip. But this one is what you would normally see. I wouldn't use these on a second floor deck. But you have to on the edge because this will be hanging off. So on that one and the other side, you use this one. This is what you use on a second floor deck as far as I'm concerned. Here's why I leave this side to the end. Because if you're off by a 16th, an 8th, anything like that, it won't matter. It won't matter at all. You cut your blocks, in my particular case, 10.5. You cut them all 10.5. But let's say, for instance, on that side, you're 10 3/8. Even 10 1/4, you're a 1/4 inch off. It won't matter. You take this, you put your block in. You always got to have a block on the beam, and you push it right up against it. Now, in this I chose this one for a reason. This board is completely and totally twisted. It's bent, it's twisted, it's all screwed up. There's a giant gap here, and I have to, it's touching at the bottom, and there's a 1/2 inch gap at the top. I got to twist this. I use screws here. Why? So that I could pull this thing back. Any of them, it corrects problems. But if the dimension is off, it's not going to matter. So you can just cut all your blocks, and you don't have to measure anything. You cut all your 10.5. The only thing you measure is that side. You get it to 10.5 or somewhat close, and then you cut all your blocks to 10.5. And it just solves itself. Also, you can see I'm standing in between these two. How the hell am I doing that? Because this one's not connected. I go down the line. This thing can just move. I can just bend this. See this? I can get in between here very, very easily. Start here, go all the way on a ladder if you want, or after you get about 3 or 4 of these up, screwed in with the block, you can stand up here or get a board, maybe a piece of plywood, 3/4 ply, and you can sit down here. Not a problem, as long as you're comfortable working at heights with, obviously you don't have a board here at the end. excuse me. But it's safe as long as you have these blocks in. I wouldn't go and stand on this board here without a clip and no block. That's not a great idea. Maybe closest to the engine of the ledger, you could do it, within a couple of feet. It's not going to be a problem. But if you're comfortable with that. But yeah, in this particular case, as long as you have the block in, you're standing up here, it's not a problem. Don't stand over here. You don't want to miss your foot. If you miss your foot here, you're not going to fall through. It's impossible. I mean, even if 16 inches on center, you're probably not going to fall through. You're going to fall and you're going to catch your arms or something like that. So it's totally safe to work up here, but just make sure you have enough room where you don't lean back or step back and then you fall. Now, blocking. You can put the blocks in line, and it's neater to put them in line, but a lot of people like to put them in line, but you don't have to. You could put them like this. That is no big deal. Pretty much everybody does it because it's easier, but you don't have to. It needs to be sitting right on the beam. You can't see that, but it's sitting right on the beam. And if you do it in line, like I'm going to do it, you got to come in on an angle. Now I'm going to use screws. That's going to be good enough. I can use 3.5 threes. It'll be fine. But you're going to basically come in just like that. It's not a big angle at all. Come in here, right in this corner. Okay, that's screwed in. This one's screwed in, and now when I pull this one in, when I put this one in, it's going to twist it and make up this gap to get it back into shape. Lean into it if you want, but that's perfect. And then we got one more. I put 4 in. You can alternate, which is a good idea. Now, because the block is 10.5, it's set at 10.5. And you go down the run. You don't want to put the clips in. I have time to put the clip. I'm going to put it in now. You don't want to put the clip in and then, do all the clips and then try and, no, because it's not going to work out. Cut all your blocks at 10.5, put the block in, put the clip in, put the block in, put the clip in. What did I just drop? I dropped something. I don't know what it was. Probably a screw or something. That's what you want to do. Now the clip here, I'll show you how it goes in. Let me grab you here. Just like that. That's the way it goes in. It's very simple. There's a lot of nails. There's 6, there's 10 nails on this thing. You can use the short ones, I believe. Yeah, you can definitely use the short ones. And I'm going to nail this thing in. And that's it. That's what I do. And then I would go down the run with these block, clip, block, clip, block, clip, block, clip. And you never have to worry about anything. If you're off on the dimensions, doesn't make a difference. So it's skewed a little bit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Not over 6 feet. If you're off a 1/4 inch, which would probably be the max that you're going to be off, unless you do make a major mistake, 1/4 inch over 6 feet is nothing. I mean, it's absolutely zero over here. So that's it. So I'm going to put this clip in and wrap this video up. Okay, everyone, we're gonna wrap this up. The one thing I didn't talk about is the end joists. They're a little, just a little trickier. Not that much trickier. You got to use a different bracket. It's a hidden bracket like this. There's a couple different ways to do it. It's also like an angle. I use both actually. And what happens is that you got to get that hammer. It's difficult. You got to get used to it for sure, but it's definitely more difficult. You have to put this up before you put the joist in, obviously, because the nail holes are in here, and you're going to slip that in, which means that if you put this too tight, a lot of the times you can't get the thing in. So it's tricky. You want to leave like a 1/16 of a gap. You want to also, get your boards that you're going to be using. The exact board that you're going to be putting up there. Put it on the edge, squeeze it tight. This particular one is a very old board, so it's shrunk, and squeezing it all the way works. But on a new board, probably not. Make sure you have the board that you're going to put on the end, exactly where it's going to go in. Put it on there, squeeze it, and see what the gap is like when it's tight. Put it up there just like that. Nail it in, and this is how you get good at nailing. You want to nail these holes every time and not bend these things. It can be a little difficult. Also, an angle is really nice. You put this on the inside clearly, and this allows you to use some lag screws. See, the holes are pretty big. Or you can just nail it. Use a pretty big nail. Or just regular screws. I think even a regular screw would probably work on something like this. This is extremely heavy duty. Does it say the gauge on here? This thing has to be, I don't even know. This thing's probably 10 gauge. Very, very strong. Yeah, so a screw is fine with this. And these help for sure. So that's it. I guess the last tip I'm going to give you is that working alone, high up on ladders, it's dangerous even when you know what you're doing. Don't work 10-hour days in the hot sun. You're going to start making mistakes and you're going to fall. And it's going to be a big, big, big problem. Just take your time, drink water, which I really need to do. I have this little thing of water. Always drinking water. Don't go past lunch. Eat lunch. You see these guys that work for, they're always breaking for lunch. They break for lunch. 12 o'clock, break for lunch. There's obviously, you have workers working for you. You have to give them a lunch break, clearly. But it's more than just that. It's 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever the lunch break is, whenever you really start, halfway, 4 hours, eat lunch. Eat lunch, go back out. That's what I'm going to do right now, too. I'm going to go in, I'm going to eat lunch, and then I'm going to come back out, and I'm going to keep on going. You're working alone, you're working high up, you're working on ladders. Take your time, be comfortable. Don't work past where you feel like you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable while you're up there, you're going to screw something up and you're going to hurt yourself. So that's it. All right, everyone. Good luck.